A lot of them look at the shiny stuff and, don't look at the shaft and all that sort of thing. And then years ago when I first started, it was kind of the wooden club era was fading out and the metal club era, wood club era was coming in. I started in Huntersville, 1999. A friend of mine had a space that like a subspace that he needed. And I said, well, let's give it a shot. We've been talking about it for years about opening up a golf shop. So I said, let's do that. And then had another business at the same time. I had this business, so I kind of did both. My dad helped me at the time when he was alive, and he was always kind of refinishing clubs. That's kind of where I got my interest. And then I've always kind of had an entrepreneurial, spirit. I worked in the corporate world and found out, that might not be for me, So that's how I kind of got started then, building back in those days. It was component clubs and things like that because I really didn't have the money to get involved with Callaway and all these other people, and just kind of built it from there as a small business. And I knew a lot of people in the community. My kids grew up in Huntersville, so and I grew up in Charlotte, so very familiar with a lot of people there. So I kind of helped spur the business and just kind of kept at it and went through the recession of 2007, 2008. And got through that, and then lo and behold, you get as time goes on, things change, So basically, I had an opportunity to come up here to Mooresville back in 2016. Some guys had opened up a driving range, and so I kind of moved my business there because that's kind of a little bit better atmosphere, environment to teach, to demo clubs and do fittings and all that sort of thing too.
So your business is technically separate from the driving range, right?
Yes. The gentleman owns the driving range, owns the property, so I run the driving range for him and just run my business out of there. So.
And then you do all the club building,
fitting, ordering, repairs. Sell accessories, balls, and then we also sell a complete line of electronics. A lot of these new low cost. Range finders and simulator type things are become very popular now. So that's been a big electronic boost in the industry.
Yeah, no, I mean, we can kind of jump right into everything. I think it's a pretty cool business. It's like one of those businesses where you probably want to do forever because you enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. That's part of it. When you're going to retire, as long as I enjoy what I'm doing, I'm going to keep doing what I am. And then, as times have changed, the business model has changed. You mentioned COVID came through, and before COVID, really golf courses were struggling a little bit. It was, everybody had other things to do, but then COVID hit, and they found a safe space at golf courses or driving ranges. As a matter of fact, the whole time we never closed down during COVID, so it was one of the.
Yeah, you're technically socially distanced at a driving range.
Yeah, exactly. You think, okay, we're going to have this, this virus come through and all these businesses are closed down, but golf's going to do really good.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I believe that when I see it,
So, COVID came and really
2018, 19, 20,
it really
22.
ramped up though, like the golf business and golf industry, and like I'm big on video and YouTube, and like YouTube golf is just massive now.
And that's been another sort of side piece of this, and the PGA and those kind of people are sort of looking at that. So, hey, that's another way to promote our business. So you're seeing a lot of these YouTubers playing golf with the professionals and all that sort of stuff. So that brings the young people in, which, for years, the average age of a golfer has been in their 50s, right? Because time, affordability, and you don't have kids, you don't have a job, you don't have work as many hours as you get older. So that's been a big difference, and it's skewed a little younger now. And golf is adapting to that. You got GPSs with boom boxes on them and things like that. So people are playing music and different things they're doing now, which is the Tiger Woods thing, which is simulator and the other events they have that are geared more toward the fan, which is really where it needs to go to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious now, like. The average age used to be, because of affordability and time, was older, and now it's younger.
Right.
And I feel like the new prices are like kicking the older people out because it's getting so dang expensive.
It is. I mean, the biggest thing is like the equipment. I mean, you can find deals on equipment, so you can kind of massage that a little bit. But the biggest thing is the amount of golf courses have gone in renovation in the area. I mean, you used to have Mallard Head with people who have lived for years and knew that.
I lived on hole 2.
Yeah, well, there you go. So, the guys have bought at Slate Norman Golf Course now, which they're putting money into it, but it's going to take them, a year or so to get it where they want to be, like any golf course. And I'm I got a lot of good buddies up at the 500 Club, which used to be Larkin, which used to be
What was it before Larkin? I remember
Fox Den.
Yes, yeah.
So
I played it when it was Fox Den.
Right. So you see a lot of those changes, and they're putting these. Of course, we have a range there, and a lot of the new ranges have like the top tracer technology, and of course they charge more money for it. But we've been approached on that several times, but with the expense and the money you have to put into infrastructure to put it in, it was just really not the best thing for us. And then we kind of cater to the guy just wants to go up in a T-shirt and hit some balls and don't have to carry his club and walk through the clubhouse and the other side of the property to hit balls. So and then we have a mini golf there, so it's really family oriented. We have a 4-hole par 3, so that's good for beginners to kind of get the gist of what you go through to hit a ball, chip and putt. Just kind of go through the process without having to get on a full size course and maybe get nervous and hold a lot of people up. So.
Yeah, no, I've been over there many times to go hit, and it's usually the one I go to when I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get back into golf again, and I'll go over. I'll go 3 or 4 times, then life gets in the way, and I don't go over.
And you mentioned a lot of COVID golfers, and what we try to do, we have instructors there, and they're fairly reasonable. So I tell people, save you a lot of frustration is start with the basics and start on the right path. So sometimes it's worth that money to do that, so you don't have that frustration later on, and you're going to golf courses and kind of wasting your money there too. So
no, let's talk about getting some clubs built for you. I have custom clubs, so I got my clubs built, but this is a while ago now. I think it's 2019. I got my clubs built, so
Absolutely.
I've got Ping G410s. I love them.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can hit them anymore. I was swinging a lot harder back then.
Right.
Let's talk about like the benefit of custom clubs and how that really helps people, because I don't, a lot of the new golfers, they'll get in and they'll just grab clubs and hit them, and then they don't realize what's going on. And it made a big difference for me.
A lot of them look at the shiny stuff and, don't look at the shaft and all that sort of thing. And then, years ago when I first started, it was kind of the wooden club era was fading out and the metal club era, wood club era was coming in. And back then you had a stiff and a regular. You didn't have all this technology and shafts like you do nowadays, which can be quite a myriad of information to absorb, right? So a stiff today is not always a stiff, and a regular is not always a regular because shafts have different profiles. Again, get back to fitting. So you kind of preface it by questioning the player. Okay, what's your issue? Are you not hitting the ball high enough? Are you not keeping the ball straight? Is your length bad? And sometimes we work with our instructors to sort of work both ends, right? Okay, what are we doing swing-wise that we can make them hit this club a little bit better, that's more made for them? And as you mentioned, as we get older, we slow down. So the biggest thing is you have guys that were in their 35, 40, 45s, and they're playing stiff shafts, and now they're 50, 55, and they don't want to give it up because of their ego sometimes. But I said, hey, you're going to get much better results.
Yeah.
You don't have to swing as hard because you want some bend and flex in the shaft. If you're having to swing the club harder to make it bend and get what you need out of it, then bad things start happening to your swing, right? But every shaft has a profile, which you want to hit the ball high, you like a mid-ball flight. So you can get in a lot of technical stuff there, but you kind of break it down by that.
And I mean, you guys are able to say, well, this is how you swing, this is how your body mechanics are, and this is generally, obviously you can improve your swing, but generally you've got kind of the same movement. It's like, well, based on your movement, here's a club that's going to fit your movement better.
And then, we fit on the range. So a lot of, certainly it's good to get your numbers, and these places do inside get your numbers, but it's always good to have an eye test on it. Because you're used to seeing how your balls fly and what it looks like and what it feels like. And then you're hitting in conditions with wind and, temperature and all that sort of stuff. So it's more realistic fitting a lot of times to do it outside because you're not going to be playing inside unless you're on a indoor league or something.
Yeah, no, I fully agree on that. Like it looks a lot different on the simulator.
It looks a lot different on the simulator. So, and then I always tell people now, this thing's going to hurt your feelings. You're not going to be hitting as far as you think you are. So, but it's carry distance. So once we get over that fact and get to the point that, hey, we just wanted something that we know you can grow into a little bit. We don't want to fit you here. And then, we want to look at what the next year or two is going to do as well.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed my fitting. I think it was fun, and it helped me a lot. I mean, I got out to the course, I had a lot more confidence, and it made golf enjoyable. And then when you stop playing, then you got to get fitted again. So that's where I'm at.
And the biggest thing nowadays is when you do fit somebody, okay, what clubs do you want, right? So,
they're all good now.
Yeah, and from years ago to now, the biggest difference is the lofts have been, strengthened up. So what used to be a 9-iron is now an 8-iron loft. So you're kind of hitting the lofts the same. You're just hitting the number on the club a little differently,
So are people buying more wedges now because of that?
You see more wedges because basically I sell very few below a 5-iron and some a lot are 6-iron and up. So because your 6-iron is the loft of your 5-iron used to be, unless you're getting like a Tour Series club and they're more, traditional lofts. But, and then, gapping your bag. Okay, here's my driver. What do I hit after my driver and get to my irons, right? 3-woods have become not as popular because a lot of people with the forgiving drivers they have nowadays are hitting it straighter and more consistently. So there's less call for it. But some people still like a 3-wood, and that's fine. But what we're seeing, and you're also seeing on the PGA Tour, is people are using more lofted fairway wood. They're going to a 7-wood. They're going to a 5-wood. And some people are even hitting 9-woods. Because they see as far as, some people still like hybrids, right? But they're seeing that the woods get the ball up higher and land softer than a hybrid does. So you're seeing people like there's several pros. I think Dustin Johnson's hitting the 7-wood, and some of the other guys are hitting 7-woods and 9-woods. So you see that trend eventually make it down to the masses, right? So we're getting a lot of 5, 7, and 9-woods and less 3-woods.
Interesting. Yeah, I've got a 3-wood and a 2-iron hybrid.
So. So we look at that. In 2-irons, if you don't get to play enough, you have kids and you're working all the time like you are. So that's difficult to hit.
No, the hybrid makes it a little easier, but like that used to be I'm not hitting the driver very good. I'm going to hit the 2-iron, and that was like a safe.
Exactly. And you run into people say, listen, golf is hard enough.
Yeah.
Let's take every tool we can to make it as easy for you as we can.
Yeah.
Sometimes you might have to hit a club that's a little clunkier than you like, or sometimes it's not making the right sound, but you hit it real good.
Yeah. It might not be pretty.
It might not be pretty, yeah. We just want to keep it in play and enjoy the game of golf, right?
Yeah. That's the big thing. Like, get out, enjoy yourself, and don't stress about it. Like, whatever you can do to make it fun, because that's what it's supposed to be.
Well, you look at this weekend, of course, it's Masters Week, so you see a lot of, they have the junior thing down there and then the ladies tournament on Saturday, so they're incorporating a lot of different things. And, of course, kids is the key to your success in the future, and it's something, we tell them, you can play your whole life. You can play when you're a 15-year-old can play with a 75-year-old. You can play with your granddad and your dad and your friends, and it gives you another outlet if you're playing other sports, right? Just to have a singular sport if you play team sports. So sometimes it's easier to say, okay, I want something I just rely on myself.
Yeah.
And you play golf, it tells you a lot about life. You can tell a lot about people's, how they act and what their mannerisms are and their temperament, for sure. So, you're going to fail and you're going to be succeeding, and you're going to succeed maybe when you think you're going to fail, and you're going to fail when you think you're going to succeed. So. But it's a life lesson for everybody as well.
Yeah. So what about you? When did you get into golf?
Well, I started when I was, very early. I grew up in Charlotte, and my dad played golf with all his buddies, and they would have a toddy or two out on the course, and I would drive the cart. So, so we played at Sunset Hills Golf Course. I grew up right near there in Oakdale, and back in the day, and then just started playing junior high golf, and I kind of figured out then I'd go play with my dad, let me hit balls, but kind of like a lot of kids start. And so when I got to junior high, they had the golf trial, so I went out for it, made the team, and it was a bonus. I got out an hour early to go play golf, go practice, so that was even a bonus on it. So kind of started from there, played all up through. My kids played. I got 2 sons, and they both play golf, and both of them have played since they were 8 or 9 years old. So, and they enjoy it too. And hopefully I'll transition that down to my grandchildren. And then as I got older, played in college, didn't play in college, but I played a lot, and then we remember at Pine Island Country Club for years. So I played out there a good while.
I know the greenskeeper, the head
the superintendent.
I know him out there. He was out there at least.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. I wish I would. So I started in high school. We'd just go out during the summer. I played baseball, basketball, and football. So it was like, okay, well, it's summertime. What do I do now? I golf. Yeah. And I played that. Then through college, I played football in college. And so I got to golf during the summertime. And I just always had to stop, though. And lifting weights so much for football and all that. And it's like I could never, get consistent enough to be good. And then when I graduated, I was telling you earlier, I taught for a couple of years. Right. And when I taught, I went over to Cabarrus Country Club and I played over the summer. I would go caddy or do the golf carts. I just, clean them, wash them, bring them out. The easiest thing I could do just so I could go and play golf. And I had so much fun. I would play almost every day over the summer.
Absolutely.
And that's where I'm like, okay, now at this stage of my life, I'm like, okay, I want to get back to that. How can I get back to that?
Absolutely. I mean, it's very relaxing to go play golf for the most part, like we talked about before. And a lot of people, especially kids, when they're doing all these sports nowadays, because a lot of parents, oh, you can only play baseball, you can only play this, but most coaches say, hey, you need to play multiple sports, and you see a lot of athletes. What do? When they retire? They start playing golf.
Exactly.
See a lot of kids play baseball in college or played baseball in high school. What do? Start playing golf, which is good because their buddies play golf, and we see a lot of that at the range that we're at too. We see a lot more young people and parents bringing their young kids out, taking little bags up there and all that sort of thing. So
I want to get our daughter into it.
They love it. Yeah.
She picks up like the play golf clubs here and there. I'm like, okay, all right, we got something. I don't want to force her, but I'm like, I play golf because women's golf is it's becoming more popular, but it's also less competitive if she wants to go play in college.
Very true. I tell them that if they can shoot in the high 70s or low 80s, they'll go look at college somewhere.
Yep.
And they've got a lot of slots for them, too.
Yes.
It just, it's a long learning curve, right? You're not going to get it in a year. And people used to play video games, said, this is not a video game. You're not going to get it in about 2 or 3 weeks and you got it. It's constant for everybody. In pros, it's a constant learning curve.
I say it's the only sport that you can go out and play as the professionals play, just like a professional.
Correct.
Because basketball, how hard is it to go get 5 guys and 10 guys? And football, okay, we got a tackle and the pads. You can't do it. And so golf is the only one I feel like you can just go
like you mentioned before, you can actually compete against a pro if you do the handicap system, so you see a lot of pro. Well, I played with my buddies. I had to give them like 15 strokes. So I broke even today. They don't, so you can make it an even playing field.
Yeah.
Right?
So I know you've played a lot of golf. How far out have you gone and played? Have you gone on golf trips? Do you have a favorite course out?
Yeah, we used to go to Santee Cooper a lot. They have a lot of nice golf courses. Santee Cooper, Orangeburg Country Club.
Okay.
I've been to Sawgrass. That was quite an experience. Everybody has a chance to do that. Yeah. They should do that for real. I would love to go to Augusta, but I don't think I know enough people to do that. But I've been to the Masters, several, probably. I used to tell people back in the 80s, I went down there with my mom and dad, and you could walk up and get a ticket.
Oh, wow.
To the practice round. So you couldn't get a ticket to the regular round, but you could walk up and get a ticket. That's when they had a gravel parking lot, and this was probably early 80s, late 70s, early 80s probably. And then, went several times like that, and I've walked the entire course. I've kind of done, just pinch the grass, see if it's real or not, and ate a lot of pimento cheese sandwiches, and it's really become a place I like to go to because number one, I went with my mom and dad, but two, just the history there. Mm-hmm. And I remember going back as it got more intense as Tiger came and all that sort of stuff, and then they kind of went to a lottery system, and then you could get tickets for a while, and now it's really hard if everybody. I'm sure everybody just tries just to see if they can, right? And so you can't take your phones in there or anything like that. But I remember, I think it was 1996 or 7. I took actually a camcorder, and I got some camcorder video of, I think, Fuzzy Zeller and Nick Faldo.
Oh, that's cool.
I got to go look that stuff back up. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of interesting because I'm there with a big old video camera, and I walk up to this guy sitting on the side of the tee box, and it was Earl Woods. I really didn't know who he was. We knew who Tiger was, but we didn't know who Earl was. Yeah. I said, well, who are you here for? That kid right there. I said, oh, Tiger.
Yeah,
you're Tiger's dad. Yeah, I think he might be pretty good. So that was interesting. And nowadays, it's such a big fanfare to get into any sporting event because it's you wonder, well, how many golf people actually go to that? Yeah. People just want to go somewhere to be seen, right? But it is an experience to do that. But I played. Of course, Myrtle Beach, played a lot of courses down there back in the day, Caledonia, just so long ago, it's hard to remember all of them.
Yeah.
And then some places in the mountains. I used to have a place up in Banner Elk, go to Mountain Glen, and some of those mountain courses are real nice for people. It's only a couple-hour drive. Yeah. And that's the thing about in North Carolina, you can go take a little golf vacation, not have to spend all day driving somewhere.
We used to go down to Pinehurst and do a golf trip over the summer, and I remember playing Tobacco Road, and I think we played number 9, if I remember right. And it was like, that's super cool. They're fun. And
it is. My sons took me for my 60th birthday to Pinehurst. We played, and it was in February. I think it was like 48 degrees and windy, but sunny, right? So we played, I think, number 4 the first day. We had to walk it, so I wasn't quite prepared for that. Number 4 was a little bit hilly. And then played number 2 the second day, birdied the first hole, and I went, that's probably not a good omen. Hit about 20-footer. I'm like, I had a 5-iron from like 150 into the wind. I'm like, 20 feet, I just hit it, and hey, it went in. But
downhill from there.
Downhill from there. And then the walking at the end. But, it's not a difficult driving course. It's just really hard around the greens. You know? And then we played number 8 the next day and got a cart, so that was good. But
there you go.
That was a good experience too. And like I said, it's not too far from here, and there's other courses to play besides those that are very nice. You don't have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars up there.
Yeah, no, we always enjoyed that. My wife, prior to becoming an attorney, she worked at Electrolux, and they had condos and everything at Sage Valley, and so. Masters Week, they would get their condo at Sage Valley, but then go down to the Masters. And so she would go to like the practice rounds, and she got to go to the junior whatever day. And absolutely. Tiger, when he was rehabbing the first time, he was out there and he put on like a little private clinic. So she got to watch Tiger's first swings after his back surgery.
Wow.
And apparently he was real shy and doesn't like talking when he's swinging. So like his best friend was saying, oh, he's going to hit a draw right over this flag and land it here, and he's going to do this and that. And my wife was just like, he's doing all of that.
Oh, yeah.
Like he's putting it like within a foot of where they're saying.
Right.
And she's like, I think he's back.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting you mentioned Sage Valley. I had a customer of mine, and right when they started the ladies' invitational down there, and got a couple of times to go down there. And one, I think, was right before COVID or something, and they only gave tickets to the members, right, because they used their course for the first 2 qualifying rounds. And I told my son down there, I said, this is the first time you're ever going to see, like, I don't know, 120 or 150 people on this golf course. No stands were up. I think it was that year they had it in the fall or something. And so it was kind of just really weird. I said, you'll never see this course like this again. You can see all the way across to, like, all the holes down the bottom side without all the fans and the stands and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, she got me a Sage Valley shirt, and I'll wear it. And every now and then people are like, "Is that Sage Valley? How do you have that?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's I just have a shirt. Don't think that I'm a member at Sage Valley.
Don't have time, right? You know?
Yeah, sure. There's a couple other things I don't have.
Exactly.
No, that's great. So let's talk about your business. Like if someone wants to come in and, how would that process work if they want to get some clubs and,
and we do, and this is a good time of year to do that. We do that, all the time. Like I said, guys switching over from something they can't swing anymore to whatever. So the first thing we do is kind of see what you're hitting now, right? Let's see what you're having issues with, what you like, what you don't like. So we kind of like to see where you're coming from, right? Have you had these clubs for 10 years? Or are they, and everybody's different with that. Some people change clubs all the time. Some people change club every 10 years. And some people are in between. And, we do, sometimes we'll come in and say, hey, if you're looking for used clubs, maybe we don't have the used clubs you want, but let us fit you and measure you. So if you do look for used clubs, we know maybe, hey, you need a half an inch longer, you need an inch longer, you need a little shorter, you need the line angles different, something like that. So we can measure all that stuff and then give them an idea of what we need to look for, right? So put them on a path to say, okay, you need, maybe you're 6'4", maybe you need something that's an inch longer than standard because it's hard to buy anything longer off the rack at, your whatever store you go in. And, fitting's a big process for that because, if you're 5'9", 5'10", you're going to kind of fit in that, average range. If you're 6'4", or you're 5'5", then, of course, that's going to be a little bit different. And that does affect how you play, how you dress the ball. If you're too short, you'll be bending over too much to hit the ball. And, there's a lot of guys out there probably playing clubs too short. They're a little taller, maybe need something a little longer to actually, get through with their swing. So we start there, and then we have fitting carts from Mizuno, Titleist, TaylorMade, Wilson, Srixon.
You got all the
couple
players.
more. Yeah, I got most of them, yeah. So we start there, and we have different shafts, different heads, and we kind of go through that. And instead of kind of putting them on the spot, because, sometimes people are going to fitting, all of a sudden they got somebody looking at them, and they're hitting into and they're looking at them. Just go up there and hit a few. Let's see what feels good to you. I'm not going to come up there for a few minutes. I want you to get loose, hit a few with those, hit a few with these, because a lot of times they'll pick one or two out that, hey, man, this one feels good, and then we'll go up and take our not rangefinder, but our simulator thing. It's got a portable thing that reads all that sort of stuff.
Like a TrackMan kind of thing.
Yeah. And so we get all their numbers and see how far they're hitting, and we test one against the other. And then, a lot of times since being outside, you can eye test. Sometimes they'll hit if you're like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can hit any better than that.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to look at the numbers.
Right.
I can tell that's what you need to be.
That's a golf swing.
That's a golf swing, and that's a golf shot right there. So, it isn't always technical as you think. Some people get wrapped up in the technical part of it. And like I said, shafts are a whole nother thing, the different weights, the different stiffnesses, different torques in the steel shafts, the different ball flights. So, and that kind of, younger guys are going to skew towards something stiffer, something lower spin, something that's going to give them a lower ball flight. They tend to hit it higher. Middle-aged to older are going to tend to, hey, I need something to get the ball up in the air more. I need something with maybe a little stronger loft. Maybe I don't need a 5-iron anymore. Again, we get back to looking, what your bag is. Are you just replacing your irons? Are you going to do your woods? And a lot of times people go to fittings and do like a complete bag fitting in one day. Well, you're going to be worn out by the time you do that, right?
Yeah.
So what we try to do is like to split it up. Okay, if you want a full bag fitting with, woods and irons, let's do the irons one day because we don't want to get you tired and then all of a sudden we can't tell what you're doing with the other ones. Let's do the woods the next day or whatever combination that they want to do. And that seems to work best. And a lot of times we can go there and just switch stuff right out and just try different things.
Yeah, I think personally, like I enjoy a golf fitting. I think it's fun. You get to test all this new stuff.
Matter of fact, we have one April. You can look on our website. I'll have it listed. I think I'll have to check, April 20th or 28th with Mizuno. So they'll bring their fitting guy out there. They'll have everything they sell, anything. They'll have a TrackMan out there of all that sort of stuff. This is the guy that does it every day. And then we'll have probably some later on, probably tailor-made later on in the spring, and then maybe Srixon, Cleveland, which they're going to stop making Cleveland except for wedges. Srixon's just going to make all their irons and woods, and maybe Ping. Yeah, Ping's another one we'll probably have out there. So and that's a good thing. Of course, it's always during the week, so sometimes it's hard to get people off the job during the week, but that's kind of when they set them up. But it does give you an idea to come out and try anything you want. There's no charge for it. There's no commitment for it, but we can get a lot of good information from there too.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on and sharing your knowledge. Yeah, All-Star Golf.
All-Star Golf at Mooresville Golf Range. We're right there on 174, which perfect driving out there. There's no delays to get. No, I'm just kidding. Hopefully they'll be finished with that road, in our area sometime in the next 6 months to a year. So everybody just be patient. And our sign's not out there. We haven't had that for a couple of years, but feel free to call us. Our website is mooresvillegolfrange.com. They can go to allstargolfshop.com. I list stuff I have an eBay store where I list stuff that's in the store if you want to kind of take a look at what I have. And feel free to come by and see us. We got a friendly group of people around there.
Perfect. I appreciate it, man.
Thanks for having me.